The Chicago Bulls get back to the ways. Unfortunately, it's not winning ways and a loss at home to the Indiana Pacers. We're going to talk about it all and more with Quinton. First, got to play the intro.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily Chicago Bulls podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. I'm Haize, host creator of Chicago Bulls Central, Chicago Bears Central. We got Quinton in the building, host and creator of Let's Talk Bulls. What's going on, Quinton? How you feeling today, brother?
Not much. I'm feeling, as usual, sad that I had to watch another Bulls game.
Well, we're going to talk about that Bulls game, but first, we want to make sure you guys know you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com to get started. Quinton, the Bulls actually started off this game pretty decently, and it just did not maintain for this team. The Pacers go on a run there when the Bulls' smaller lineups out there, and the Pacers never really look back. The Bulls do go on another run in the third quarter, built behind Zach LaVine. I think he scored 14 points in that third quarter, but overall, the Bulls weren't really in that game after the first quarter of this game. This is another disappointing defensive effort by the Chicago Bulls. Not an efficient night offensively, and we allow this Pacers team that's really been disappointing so far this season and Tyrese Halliburton to maybe get their swagger back. Well, it'd be interesting to see how they perform going forth in the rest of the season. How'd you feel about this loss, brother?
I mean, it's a normal Bulls loss. They play great in one quarter or one half, and then for the rest of the game, they don't have it. And it makes you wonder if this team really does want to be the most conditioned team in the league, because they honestly never have enough energy to play four quarters. I don't think I've seen one game this entire season where the Bulls played 4 consistent quarters of good basketball.
Why play 4 quarters of good basketball, Quinton, when you can play 2 of them and then let the chips fall where they may in the other 2? That's why. If you can get paid for a full 8-hour shift, why not just work 4 hours?
I mean, yeah, I guess the amount of money they're making but just sitting on the bench is, they're like, hey, I got to give half effort. I still made that, $20,000 this game.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's what it is. It's wild. We're going to talk some about the Coby White and Josh Giddey dynamic because I want to get into that with you a little bit more deeper. But when you look at this team, what are your feelings right now? We're a little over the quarter of the way through the season. Last time I think you were on probably maybe less than 10 games into the season. Do you look at this team and do you think that this is a team that can compete for a play-in spot? Or do you think this is a team that's right now, they're going to win some games against some bad teams, but eventually this is all going to come, regardless of a trade or not, this is going to all come crashing down?
I personally think it's going to come crashing down. And that's just because I don't think Billy is a good enough coach to make this team a playoff team. I think if you had a good coach, this team could be a play-in team. We've seen it where the offense is on all cylinders. Zach's playing his role. Ayo's playing downhill, and the team looks great. There's times where this offense looks deadly. And I mean, like, top of the league, no one's stopping you. But the issue is, like I said, they can't do it every quarter. And when they do make mistakes, there's no coach to rein them in. When they go on, like, long stretches, Billy just watches it happen, and then they continue to do it. No one fixes anything, and that's why we're losing. So I think this could be a young team, especially after we trade Zach and Vooch. This could be a young team that gives people a run for their money. They're not going to be a deep playoff run team, but I can see after those trades, this team being like a perennial, we're going to go to the play-in each year with our young players and just wait until we can get something to make a big jump. But yeah, it's the coaching. We're just going to have to crash and burn at some point.
Do you think that's the right path for this team right now is to embrace the crash and burn? Like you said, trading the pieces in Zach and Vooch where you can, and then going into that top 10, because there's a conversation being had amongst Bulls fans. There are some that think that, yeah, let's keep the top 10 pick, but you also have your Bulls fans that look at it and say, well, why go after somebody that's unproven when we have the players that we have now? You know how I feel about it, but how do you feel about it, Quinton?
Honestly, after seeing the way Modest has been growing the last couple of games, you got to just let the young guys go. Like, we are seeing significant jumps in improvement. Like, Dalen looks like a whole new player. Like, he's found his role. He knows what he's supposed to do. Julian Phillips in the corner is becoming a deadly 3-point shooter. And then now you got Modest just out here looking like he's the next coming of Laurie, but if Laurie didn't have a bad season. Like, this is something where you have to let these young guys go out with no hesitation, no fear of coming out of the game. You got to take these shots. And I think if the Bulls could really embrace just tanking, yeah, it'll suck for a couple years, but I think we'll see a lot quicker improvement in these players because they won't have that fear of like, oh, I got to wait in case Patrick comes in. Oh, if I mess up, Zach's going to take my spot. It's just going to be, it's you. You either score or you don't. So, I mean, you got to tank. You got to let it go. I don't think they will because tickets and Jerry and, like, I think it was you who posted it earlier. Like, every coach the last couple of years has been fired on every team but Billy Donovan. Like, it's to a point now where we obviously are not going that route, even if it means us sucking and being mid-tier the rest of our lives.
Yeah, and I mean, I love that you pointed out that Jerry, it's so crazy because it's really like just taking the short-term gratification over what could be long-term. Do you know how much money the team could make if you actually have an actual playoff run? Not just have a playoff appearance, but a playoff run. And we may never get there, mainly because like Jerry has this mandate, and ultimately, like, we're going to still be a team that competes, which is great. I guess you're not seeing a team that's going to max get 20 wins, but like, it's going to hurt you. And that's what it just comes down to. Like, until the Bulls get lucky or they get serious about, hey, we got to go all in on improvement. We got to go all in youth. We got to stop trying to languish around this play-in mid area. We're just going to keep doing the same thing. And I honestly think this, like, if the Bulls were to get the right pick this year in the draft, it's not like I think that we're going to be this team that's in the lottery for the next 5 years. There's a world in which Modest grows, the top 10 pick grows, Coby and Io keep on their ascent, Dalen, what he's turned into, that you can be right back at least where we are now trying to fight for a playing spot maybe in a year. But we'll never know because we're just going to keep being this team that just sits around the middle and we never really make any forward progress.
Yeah. We're going to be a team that Jerry's like, hey, as long as we're selling tickets, I don't need to change anything. And we're such a world-renowned team. It doesn't matter how bad we are. We're like the Cubs. You could be the worst team ever. We're still going to sell out every single game. Because there's too many people who love the Bulls without the team playing well, without cup holders. It doesn't matter. You're going to just continue to support. We're going to continue to buy gear. We're going to continue to make videos. And nothing's going to change because Jerry's just going to keep seeing that check come in.
That's a fact. And it's real unfortunate. Vooch looked more mortal today. How you felt about not only Vooch's game today, but how Vooch has been playing so far this season?
Vooch has been amazing. This has definitely been Orlando Vooch. The team has understood their assignment. Give him the ball. Do the things you're supposed to do. Have your team actually use him as a big man instead of some 3-point shooting, lockout Klay Thompson. Like, he's understanding what he's supposed to do. And obviously there's games where his size doesn't work. Like a game like this against Miles Turner. Clearly, it's just, we're not going to see Vooch backing down Miles Turner every play. Yeah. But it's one of those things where these are the games when you need someone to step up. Because on other games, when you do have Vooch in the post, we don't give him the ball. That's when all of our young players and Zach and them want to play good. When games like this, when Vooch can't have the mess up, this is where you need to take over. You just got to understand your mismatches, and that's something the Bulls just don't know what to do with. And you see it every game. Like, if Vooch has a mismatch, Zach tries to score. If Zach has a mismatch, they try to go to Vooch. I don't understand it. I don't know if the players are purposely trying to lose, but it's a sad, sad world to watch, like, Vooch with a point guard on him and Zach being like, no, I'm going to pull up from this logo 3 because I think I can beat it. Like, it's just it's frustrating. But
yeah,
I think he's playing great.
One of the things that's been real bad about this team, and we'll maybe dive into it later on, but like, they have no half court bag at all, and the only players that really have a really good half court offense are Zach and Vooch. Zach and Vooch should be the Bulls 2-man game, and everybody should be moving off the ball and playing outside of that when we just need half court offense, but we don't do it because we don't slow it down. We just try to keep moving with the pace. The one thing I did not want to see from this team when they talked about changing the pace, I said it multiple times. I don't want to see this team become a run and gun team. I'm fine with playing with a quicker pace. I don't want to see a run and gun team. This team is now a run and gun team. That's all we do. That's all we do. We just run the run. It doesn't matter if it's set up, if we get the rebound or not, if we're inbounding the ball. We just try to get up the court as fast as possible and get the first shot up that we see.
Yep. And if we got a layup, we're gonna stop the layup and shoot a three. It doesn't.
Yeah. Or the worst thing that I see is that they're gonna drive halfway to the lane and try to make some awkward pass out of the paint when you're there. Where you should just take the layup and try to get the foul.
Yep. So, Coby White wide open. Oh, you know what? DeMar did that 360 pass. Maybe I can do that 360 pass. Like the amount of jump passes this team makes, it's like they practice it.
Yeah.
Like that's the play. Like I'm gonna have you come off the screen. Vooch is gonna cut. You're gonna jump, and you're gonna try to find somebody once you jump. And I need you to jump high enough to find that player.
That's hilarious. Do you practice that pass? Yeah, actually we do. We actually run sets for that.
We run 10 minutes of practice. Just jump passes.
Next up, we're gonna be talking about the Josh Giddey and Coby White dynamic, and is it working? We're gonna hear from Quinton on that one. Before we get into that, we got to get to a message from one of our sponsors, and that's Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.25% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on IRA account contributions. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of the high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhoodgold.com. Terms apply. For specific disclosures, visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. More Locked On Bulls coming up next. All right, Bulls fans. Quinton, I got to pick your brain on this one. When you agreed to come do this post-game show, I don't care if it was win, lose. We were going to talk about this. Coby White, Josh Giddey, the backcourt. How you feeling about it? Is it working? Is it doomed to fail? And do the Chicago Bulls have a tough decision to ask themselves leading into free agency with Josh Giddey being a restricted free agent? How you feeling a quarter of the way through the season, Quinton?
Giddey, Coby together, it's not working. It's clearly not working. And I don't know if it's Coby feels threatened. I don't know if they just haven't been together long enough. Like it's like a new relationship and Giddey's trying to pull out all the stops and Coby's just playing hard to get. I don't know what it is, but the two of them need to fix something. Like Giddey, for some reason, won't drive and use his height. Coby is now just shooting threes and won't drive to the basket anymore. And when he does, he passes wide open shots so he could pass it back. Like they just make bad decisions together. And it's really weird because it feels like part of them aren't doing the same thing. Like part of them are not playing the way they're supposed to be playing. And I don't know if that's just something where the two of them don't understand what's happening or if they're purposely just like trying to fill each other out and maybe Josh will get better. But it just comes down to just them having to figure it out.
Yeah, and it's the thing that, so coming into the season, the thing that I was worried the most about was Coby White and his growth as an off-ball player, meaning like catch and shoot situations, those type of things. And unfortunately, Coby White has actually shot the ball pretty good in catch and shoot, but it still just isn't working when they're out there together. Like there's moments, there's flashes of it, but I still think that their best basketball is being played when either one of them are out there with Io rather than being out there with each other. And it just keeps being proven true. Like until they do something to figure this dynamic out, the Bulls are always going to have a cap in their minutes out there together. And unfortunately, they're still playing tons of minutes together. I don't know if it comes down to changing the starting lineup or if it just comes down to bringing in Io in sooner than staggering the other one with some bench minutes in the second quarter. I don't know what happens, but the Josh Giddey and Coby White minutes together on the court, it just is not working. It's not working.
No, and I said it in my video last time from last game. I think Giddey might just be trying to figure out everything. Mm-hmm. Like he just might be trying to figure out like what to do. And other players are trying to figure out maybe when he's going to drive, when they should cut, what should happen here, what should happen there. And maybe that's the issue But it's seeming like that might be the big difference is what is he going to do and no one knows. And I'm starting to get to a point where I just want Io to start. Just let Io be the point. Let's just move on from this weird experiment. Let's learn from our mistakes. It's not working. Don't try to make it work like Patrick Williams.
And the thing about all this is, right, is like I said on paper, even when they got Josh Giddey, I can understand what they're hoping was going to work there. I could understand that what they were hoping Josh Giddey was going to bring in the half court and things like that. But it was always a question with you literally went from a year where Coby White was able to be on ball more and really effective in those times. He was the second best clutch player in the league at times, right? And you went from that to, all right, saying, hey, Coby, we love what you did last year, but now we need you to move off ball. And it's just this thing that the Bulls constantly do with players. And I'm not saying it's every single year, but like when you look at the Bulls history, they do it pretty consistently. It's like they find something that somebody's good at, and then they're like, all right, cool, you were good at that. Now we want you to do this instead. What? It doesn't make any sense. You had a backcourt in Io DeSumo and Coby White that worked to end that season. Like it worked. They were working together. They complement each other well. And then you're still even seeing that with Io and Giddey to a point where they're complementing each other well. But it's like you just made something more difficult than you didn't necessarily have to. And now because of it and because of the time frame on this, you may have to double down. Otherwise, you're going to lose another asset that's 22 years old. And then I would not be surprised if they were to let Josh Giddey go in the offseason, just go to another team. Depending on the team it is, I would not be surprised if Josh Giddey ends up flourishing there. Because, again, if he goes to a situation where it just makes more sense, the Bulls keep thinking that they could stare at something and make it be something different. And it's just not going to work. It's not going to work.
Yeah, and it's that's the issue is the Bulls try to change people and put them in different positions. And you saw it. Coby, when they first switched him to point, did not look good. He just didn't. Mm-hmm. And what happened? It was, I don't look good. Let me work on my point guard game. And then they're like, you learn how to play point guard? Let's put you at 2. Io's going to be the point guard now. And so, like, he spent all this time learning how to be point to stop learning how to be a 2 guard. And you're like, oh, no, go back to being the point after. Like, they keep switching people off of what they're practicing, and it's slowing it down. For a point there, we saw Io look like a great point guard. Mm-hmm. And they were like, no, we don't want you to do that anymore. And it's like, okay, I've been spending all of this time learning how to play this role. And now that I finally feel comfortable, you want me to just change again. And that's why we don't develop anybody. And the same thing's going to happen with Modest. He's going to get really good. And we're going to go, you're good at driving? Let's make you shoot 3. You're working on your 3-point shot? How about we put you in the post? Let's test it out. Let's figure out what you're good at, what we can do here. Like, there's so many issues.
Do you know how much trauma you just caused by saying that they're going to do the same thing with Modest? Come on, bro. Like, why do you hate me so much, Q? Like, why is it that you want to cause me, as my brother, why do you want to cause me so much pain?
I'm just realistic. Yeah. I don't want to cause you pain. I want to save you pain. Because if you go into with the eyes of the Bulls are the Bulls and they like to make us angry, it's such a freeing thing. Like, I'm so free right now.
Yeah.
I watch these games and I'm like, you know what? I don't even care. We lost. I know we don't lose. It's great. It was a good loss. I got to see Masked Modest. I got to see Julian. My video from last game, I asked Julian Phillips for one thing. I said, just please poster dunk somebody. All I want to see. He came out and did it this year. He watches my podcast. That's all I'm saying. And if you don't, you should too. But that's what I want to see. Is I don't care. I just want to see a good game. I want to see the young players do good things. The rest of it, I could just. It don't even matter no more. Just look good. If you lose by 40, let Modest get a dunk, and I'll be good for the whole game.
We lost by 45, but Modest got 2 dunks. I'm good. I mean, it is something freeing with that because, like, I'm glad that I'm not the only one. Like, you come to the recognition, the realization, I should say, that this team is just not a good basketball team. We're just not going to be a good basketball team, and that's why, like, at this point, there was a point where I was getting into arguments. People were like, "Oh yeah, the Bulls can win 40 games." I'm like, "Where are the 40 wins coming from? Where do you have the 40 or the 40 wins in the room with us?" Now I just let people have their opinion. If you think the Bulls are going to win 40 wins and that's where you find your peace at, that's great. I'm glad that you have that opinion because I look at this team and I'm like, hey, 32 wins is looking likely. That's looking pretty solid there. 32 wins is looking pretty solid.
40 game. I didn't know Giannis was coming to the Bulls.
Yeah, bro.
That's the only way we get into 40.
Even then, bro, I don't even know if that helps. It's like it just, man, this is going to be such a rough season. But maybe on the outside of that, we're going to keep a top 10 pick, and then we get to add another young piece to Modest Vucevic, and we get to start the process all over again before 5 years from now, the Bulls find a way to fail that too. Anyway, with that said, next up, we're going to be talking about Billy Donovan and his rotations to end the episode. Before we get into that, we got to get to a message from FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. I'm not a bettor personally, but I tell you what, FanDuel is giving you a leg up by giving you access to everything that you need to make an informed bet on the same exact page where you can place your bet. Streamline the process. FanDuel is helping you out with that. You just got to visit FanDuel.com to join today. You get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. More Locked on Bulls next. All right, Q. Billy Donovan, the rotations. What can Billy Donovan do to make? We just talked about Josh getting Coby White's minutes. We talked about Ayo Dosunmu and him being in the starting lineup. Of course, that's granted. Patrick Williams comes back, or Billy decides to make another change at starter there with bringing in an actual forward. What would you like to see Billy Donovan do with his rotations, or what do you think Billy Donovan has done well with his rotation so far in the season?
Take a sip of this before. What he can do, get fired. Help so much. Give us a new coach. Give us somebody who can actually do something. That'd be great. But to be realistic, I've liked a little bit of what I've seen from Billy. I've liked the fact that he has let Modest play. Right? He's let some players make mistakes. Coby had 2 fouls early this game. He let them stay in. Like, he's starting to trust people. Some of the rotations are iffy, but they're a lot better than what they used to be. Like, there's no Javon Carter minutes. There's no Torrey Craig minutes. Like, I can deal with Billy playing our young players, maybe making some mistakes sometimes. I still hate when he tries to go 4 guards like we're some weird good team. But he's been a lot better this year as far as picking and choosing when players come in. And also knowing who should come in. Ayo comes in very quickly now, and he knows he needs them. He's not hesitating to pull some people every now and then if they're playing bad. So he's been doing pretty good there. But just overall, I mean, his rotations start out terrible. So it's just like whatever he does is going to be bad because the rotations are broken in themselves.
Yeah. I mean, the roster's broken. I mean, we just got to be clear that the Bulls roster is broken.
That is true.
And it's been that way for a while. And, you know, and that does go back to AK. And as much as I'm not a Billy Donovan guy, I am a realist. And I do realize that Billy Donovan is trying to make the best of a roster that just is missing some key things that are needed to be a winning basketball team. We're missing those things. And so because of that, it's always going to put you in a situation where you're already at a deficit. And that's something else that this team eventually has to figure out if they want. I don't even know if it matters at this point, to be honest with you, Q. I think at this point, it just is what it is. The roster is going to be what it's going to be. It's going to be unbalanced for a while. And Billy Donovan is trying to make the best of what he can. I do agree with you on the Ayo part. I still think that at times there's some of that thing that we've seen with Billy Donovan before where he doesn't necessarily stop the bleeding as quick as I would like to see him as far as like calling a timeout, making a change or something like that. But otherwise, like I look at this, especially while Patrick Williams has been out, we were down Julian for a while there. We've been missing some players for a while. Like, there's no perfect rotation for this Bulls team. Now, there are certain rotations that can make certain aspects of this team and their shortcomings better, but then you're still building another one in that case. So I don't like Billy Donovan as a coach. I still don't want Billy Donovan to be the Chicago Bulls head coach, but I have to admit, even with all that said, there's only so much he can do with what he's giving. You can't tell somebody to go out there and make an omelet and all you gave them is cheese. You can't do that.
I mean, that's what the Bulls like to do. That's what Jerry likes to do. Make it happen.
Yeah,
And that's the thing. Like, this team just doesn't have the players to make good line. Like, we don't have like the Warriors death lineup.
Yeah.
We don't have that. We have no lineup that is like, if we put this in, they will play well. We have players that we know we have to put in. Put Ayo in some point in the game. He'll put energy. Dalen will give energy. Matas will give energy. But there's no like, you put these 4 in, we're going to go on a run.
Yeah.
So every game, it's just constant trying to figure out what's going to work. It's just subbing people in and subbing people out. I'm like, hey, it's not working. Cool. You go in, maybe it'll nope, still not happening. Modest, nope, not working. Okay, who's gonna fit today? What puzzle are we trying to finish? And I think a big part of that as well is just not having a bench that's working well. Like, as much as I love Jalen Smith, he's a great big piece of this team. He hasn't been shooting too well. He's also not attacking the rim a lot.
Yeah.
So you can't hope that once Vuce comes out, you have a big. So now we're trying to figure that out. Coby's not shooting well, so who's your shooter on the team? Like, the entire game is just figuring out who's going to take the spot of someone else and play okay. And you can't run a team with that.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, there's no way. So we'll see. I like I said, and Quinton told you guys, so you heard it from Quinton. It's not the same person. Just enjoy the journey. This is a season where it's like, let's just get to the destination, and we'll try to make sense of it once we understand where that destination is. Because otherwise, there's nothing here for anybody but stress, and that's all. That's all that's coming. So, any last thoughts, Q, before we get out of here, man?
I just want this team to work on themselves. Meditate, pray to whatever God that you pray to. Love on whatever woman you love on, or man. Just play well on the court, please. Like, just give me some fun games to watch, because it's to a point now. The only thing that makes me angry about these games is I got to hear Stacey and Adam sound sad. Like, that's the best part of the Bulls, is the announcers. And if they're sad, it's like, I have no joy. And I run a podcast. I can't turn it off.
Yeah.
Like, so I just if you guys watch me, if you watch Haize, if you watch these videos, Jamal, anybody out there, just understand that at least you could turn it off. So when you talk about how bad the games are, just know that we have to watch every state, and we don't get to like watch it and be like, this sucks. We have to watch it and like analyze the game, try to figure out what could be done better, and then realize it's simple what could be done better, and that we're not going to do it.
Yeah, that's the life of being a Bulls fan in 2024-25 season. And keep this in mind. It could get worse, because if the Bulls are successful in trading Zach LaVine or Nikola Vucevic, I'm glad I got a lot of whiskey is all I can say, Q.
The Chicago Bulls trade Zach LaVine for Chris Paul.
That almost happened. That almost happened. Thank God for the Warriors saying, hey, you know what? We don't even want Zach like that. Because keep in mind, that was something that almost happened at the draft. The Bulls wanted to trade Zach LaVine for Chris Paul straight up. Man.
It's our team.
Man.
It's our team.
Jesus, man. Y'all make sure y'all go and support Q over on Let's Talk Bulls, man. He's amazing over there, dropping great content. You guys can follow me at CEO Haize. You can follow the show at Locked On Bulls. We are free and available on every podcasting app and platform of your choice, as well as YouTube. And that's it for us this week. This is your Friday episode. I'll be back Sunday night. And that's it. Love you guys. Go Bulls. See Red, y'all. Peace.